Okay, so I've been wanting to do this for a while now. Um, this is kind of a video recollection of what's happened in my life, or I guess you could say a prepared presentation on who I am. Um, Sort of not just to kind of, you know, reflect on where I've been in my life, but also to, you know, use as a mold in case anyone is feeling the same at any certain portion of this presentation, if you will. Um, First off, my name is Brandon Moiczek. Uh, Currently work for the state of Virginia. Uh, can't really say too much else besides that. On that respect. Um, and I like Dungeons and Dragons. Role playing games. I like video games. Uh, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Those are just my kind of interests. But where I am today, I'm gonna take you back a little bit. Growing up, my mom and my dad were, always very caring of my brother and myself. I am a twin with my brother Matthew. Um, but they were also always split up. They were, never together, separated. So, we had a split experience between our father and our mother, and loved them both, but sometimes I say arguments, sometimes petty, sometimes considered major, got in the way. Um, yeah. With that, we also had a stepdad that our mother was with for a while, and we thought he was a nice guy. It turned out to be, well, absolute trash person. Was very abusive, verbally and physically, to my brother and I, and well, partially to our mother. And hell, even at one point tried to. He actually, when we were all going to Florida, I believe, way back in the early 2000s, he overinflated the tires when it was cold weather coming, and actually attempted to, well, kill us. So, that was a event, I guess you could say. Um, you know, Growing up, I kind of stayed to myself. I was always a very quiet kid. Hell, the whenever like you're in elementary school, and I went to a private elementary school, Eureka, in Farmville, and well, they would do like a Thanksgiving lunch there at the school. And we would, we kind of all got our plates, and we'd all, kind of sit around the table and eat together. And I wouldn't eat. I couldn't eat. I felt as though, I don't know what I felt. I just felt uncomfortable. I just felt like I couldn't eat around others. I couldn't be around others. Um, hell, they even tried to get me to eat, and I cried. I just ran away from the table. I don't know what was wrong with me, but I wasn't a very sociable person. Growing up, though, I met a few really good friends. You know, I guess you could say shout out to my buddy Alan and Marcus, and that I met in middle school, CJ. And if I didn't mention anyone else, it's I still got love for you guys. It's just just wanted to move on. Eventually, I ended up getting into soccer, and became a lot more sociable because I had to be, team player. Uh, you know, at the while I was in soccer. I was 13 years old. Uh, had another stepdad, and I was brought into this gym in Clarksville, and was asked, "Hey, it was a Muay Thai kickboxing gym," and the trainer said, "Hey, kid, see you like to kick balls, talking about soccer balls, not genitalia. How would you feel kick people?" I said, "Yeah, sure, let's do it." So I trained with Armstrong for so the last name of the individual. I don't want to obviously give too much detail, but I'm sure he would appreciate the publicity, whatever publicity this video would even get. And I've trained to fight, and kind of let soccer fall by the wayside. Got fit. I was always kind of a bigger kid, so I got fit. And high school hit and joined the marching band. So I think we practiced during the week. I don't remember if we practiced every day, if it was just Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday in marching band. And Tuesday and Thursday and Friday was Muay Thai. So we, my brother's been with me through through all of this, and we essentially on Tuesdays and Thursdays was be dead tired. Practice it up till 6, come home, take a quick shower, pack our bags, go to Clarksville. It's like 45 minutes away, and train. Do some pretty intense training. So we did that for quite a while. Got myself into shape, and hell, I didn't even gain respect because I was my family's from up north, so a lot of people down here kind of took that as, for some reason, an insult. Called me Yankee. I was born down here, just my family wasn't. But I didn't actually, and I was a heavier set kid, so there was also that. But I didn't actually gain respect until I started fighting, and I reflected on it. Like, it's just the pettiness of some people. They don't get to know you until they find a value worth knowing. And so that all that occurred, and yeah, that was all throughout high school and middle school and high school. And it's kind of when everything started to go downhill after that. I'm gonna pick it up in just a second. It's probably not gonna be, it's just gonna be a flash, but I'm gonna pick it up in a second. Okay, where did I last leave off? Kind of everything going downhill, if you will. Even while I was in soccer, I had what people would consider pets. I don't consider animals pets. They're precious to me. They're family, so they're not just something to have. And I don't even believe in the terminology. In any case, I had a chinchilla named Puka, named after. There was an episode where old Pikachu or Raichu, excuse me, at a lighthouse named Puka, so I figured it'd be appropriate because chinchilla's gonna remind me of that Pokemon. And well, a good friend of mine passed away at the age of 16. Our family dog, we took him everywhere. Sam. He he didn't quite live due to it's bad terminology, but he passed away due to a cancer that we only found out about 3-4 days before. And that was always especially hard to me. That was hell. That was 7 years ago, and I still haven't efficiently coped with it. Um, and a year after Sam's passing, I met somebody, and she was the love of my life, and I'd do anything for her. She was very slow to trust me, which I was dire to earn her trust. And she helped me fight. And even going through, I went to college, and she was, still with me, moved in with me. And then our other dog, Rock, always very protective, always very loving. I'll never forget. I was up until 3 watching with this girl. I was watching Whose Line Is It Anyway, an old one with Robin Williams, and downloaded it actually. The next morning, all I hear is screams from my mother saying, "No, no, he's gone." And Rock had passed after that. So that was just a few figures that meant the world to me that left. And I was still helped with the fight because I still had her. And even through college, we both went together, and different fields technically, but still. The one stepdad that eventually would take us to that gym to train, ended up cheating on my mom and all of that, and he ended up leaving in a very, very rude and very disrespectful way. And I tell a lot of people, but this house that I live in right now actually belonged to a dear friend of the family named Myrna. And Myrna McGinnis. She's no longer with us now. But she's no longer with us. Neither is Einstein or Colors or Pete, Pop, Gene, Queen. And a lot more that I just can't name right now. But I kept fighting because I had someone to be with me, and I ended up going back to college, and thought I had it, was going through the RN program, and I failed. I failed the courses. I tried to get back into it again, and they said, "Well, sorry, you're not. Your application looks good, but," and that "but" was that they weren't accepting me back in. So I decided to work grocery. I was going to go for RN school, and ended up working grocery. And I worked that for a few months, and pallet jack rolled up on my left foot. I didn't So, knock on wood, it hasn't caused any permanent injury, but I was out of work for 2 months. I was, helpless in my mind. And sometime after that, drawing near to current time, that a girl that I loved, that I'd always fought for, that I always tried for, she let me know that after 6.5 years that she no longer wanted to be with me. And at first it was, we could still be friends, and I was slow to accept that, but I eventually did, and then changed from that to I never want to talk to you again. So I do feel like, and I realized at the end of it all, even though I felt like I was being lied to for a third of my life, I realized at the end of it all, part of it was me. Even though she never told me, I shouldn't say never, even though she didn't explain to me that she wanted to be single, that she wanted to leave before it actually happened. I did change, and it was because I was always under so much stress, with work and dealing with, financials and nursing school, and so much of my life I had no choice but to change. I had to be stronger, but I realized that I'd also become a lot more bitter. And I tried so hard to fight against that, but I ended up hurting someone that I loved. And she left. I feel like there was a lot of unfulfilled promises. I still do. I still feel like it never got concluded. We never spoke about it in person. She had moved in with her mother prior to that, and I didn't know that it was essentially because she was leaving. But I've taken this as a new outlook on life, because I know that I can't be, um, lack of better terms, lied to in the same way I was before. I also know that communication is a huge part of life, and needs, it's necessary in relationships especially, but in professions and everywhere. You can't just turn a shoulder. If you're ever feeling down or whatever you need to do, talk to somebody. I was borderline suicidal. I'd beat the hell out of myself with a coat hanger. Um, and I did the entire time I was talking to a friend of mine from Washington, and I was on the verge of saying, "No, this is it. I don't want this anymore." But you always have to find the new outlook. You need to find the next day. Some people say, "Well, it's hopeless. Nothing. I'm not going anywhere with this, but you always find the next day. Always fight for the next day. And, you remember those that have passed. I'm not saying that my list is, impressive by any means. I'm not saying that you need to lose somebody to be a better person. I'm not saying that I'm the most unfortunate person in the world. I'm saying you need to love and forgive and move on with life. Everybody. You need to talk to them. You need to talk to yourself. You need to realize who you are before you do any of this. Just remember where you were coming from and where you're going. Thanks for listening.